Good evening, and welcome to Seneca's Agenda. Tonight we will be discussing last year's de-amalgamation of the megacity of Toronto. In 2020, Seneca's public administration program had been asked by the Ontario government to provide the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing and its minister, Steve Clark, with recommendations and a proposal regarding potential changes to the governing structure of the City of Toronto. In an effort to ensure accountability, efficiency, and effectiveness for municipalities, the province of Ontario looked for solutions through a municipal review. The PAD program examined two options. One, keeping the City of Toronto and incorporating at least one other neighboring municipality, or de-amalgamating the City of Toronto into a different governance structure. The need for reassessment spoke to Ontario's commitment to improved performance of municipal political bodies, strong service delivery, a robust municipal partnership with the province. The 2020 proposal prescribed the City of Toronto returning to a de-amalgamated structure with an upper and lower tier system. Governance, service delivery, regional responsibilities, municipal boundaries were examined and historically contextualized. The cities of Vancouver and Montreal were presented, showcasing precedents for de-amalgamation and region-wide governance. It appears the implementation of this hybrid system created a focused, flexible city, which produced deliverables in a responsible manner. It was the facelift Toronto needed to continue to grow as a world-class city, while it effectively delivered services to the local citizens who make Toronto what it is, proud and engaged.
The megacity of Toronto was de-amalgamated into an upper tier and lower tier system. It is now known as Regional Metropolitan Toronto. Instead of progressing back to their old formal structure with 6 municipalities, they divided the region into 4 municipalities: the City of Etobicoke, the City of Toronto Core, the City of Scarborough, and the City of North York. The ward boundaries did not change. There are still a total of 25 councillors. There are 3 from Etobicoke from wards 1 to 3. There are 8 from Toronto Core from wards 4 as well as 9 to 14. There are 8 from North York from wards 5 to 8 as well as 15 to 17. And there are 6 from Scarborough from wards 20 to 25. Each municipality also has their own elected mayor, appointed chief administrative officer, a clerk, and a treasurer. The system has a closer, more focused relationship between the constituents and local government. It increased representation at the local level.
Seneca proposed a new governance structure. Regional Municipal Toronto, now made up of 4 lower-tier municipalities: the City of Toronto Core, the City of Etobicoke, the City of North York, and the City of Scarborough. Metropolitan Toronto is governed by a regional chair consisting of a regional chair and mayors of each of the new cities, and councillors for each municipality. The number of councillors represented on the regional council will depend on the population of each municipality to ensure equality of representation. The regional council will have 12 members in total. The City of Etobicoke, 1 representative on council, while the cities of Scarborough, North York, and Toronto Core will each have 2 representatives. The City of Toronto Act of 2006 will apply to each lower-tier municipality in the region. Bodies of oversight are integral to all levels of government, as well as boards and commissions.
Metropolitan Toronto adopted the commissioner system, replacing the old city manager system. The regional governance activities were divided into 3 broad administrative categories: community and social services, infrastructure and developmental services, and corporate services. This system allows supervision and operation to be carried out by the commissioners, who have expertise and specializations within their given fields. The purpose of this change was to have more focused and targeted service delivery, as well as eliminate duplication across different departments.
Services would also be divided among upper tier and lower tier regions. Services are provided on a regional scale through a commissioner system, and certain responsibilities will be downloaded to the lower tier and municipal level. Regional responsibilities include health and wellness, which COVID exemplifies the need for regional coordination, and water and sewer, where sewers are not governed by boundaries. Dispensing and treatment of water is a health and safety issue and needs to be looked at from a regional level.
Transportation is also at the regional level. The TTC was already established before de-amalgamation. The services of TTC do not end at each municipal border. It provides region-wide public transportation services. In addition to this, the regional roads and major bridges are still a responsibility of the region. Waste management is conducted at the regional level. This includes recycling, garbage, and compost. The purpose of this was to reap the benefits of economies of scale, ensure that further costs were not incurred.
At the municipal level, demographics of a town will dictate the needs for parks and recreational services, and they function best at the local level, not at a regional one. Bylaw enforcement is an attractive alternative to police enforcement, and it ensures communities' members' rights are observed. Enforcing a smaller area helps maintain better services to the local population.
Sign variance is now done at the municipal level as well. The municipality makes decisions on applications for third-party signs, such as those advertising goods and services that don't adhere to the sign bylaws. They will make changes or grant permission regarding these third-party signs. Local roads, smaller bridges, sidewalks, storm sidewalks, and traffic lights are also at municipal responsibility. This ensures that anything that can be done at the local level would be done, such as a broken traffic light. The region does not need to be involved in small tasks. Additionally to this, the municipality will have more autonomy. The amalgamation in 1998 created a lot of controversy and anger. The main purpose of the initial amalgamation was the promise of large cost savings. However, the opposite had occurred. There was a definite need for a change in the structure. Montreal proved that de-amalgamation could be done, and Toronto took notes. Metropolitan Toronto was not the return to the governance system of Metro Toronto before amalgamation in 1998. It took elements from the old and from the new structure of Toronto, from Vancouver and Montreal, to create an efficient, effective, and excellent government system. The goal of the restructure to this hybrid model, along with the adoption of the commissioner system, was to allow focused, flexible, and responsible service delivery. Its purpose was to incur as little cost as possible and to make as little changes as possible to the wards and councillors. The aim of the hybrid model was to not increase bureaucracy, but to reduce it by giving residents closer access to their representatives, as well as the municipalities the power to respond to needs and provide services within their communities. And now, Nikita Wyatt with the Seneca Agenda.
So 1 year has passed since the amalgamation of Toronto. We are here with the Mayor of Toronto Core, Luda, the Mayor of Etobicoke, Myrick, the Mayor of North York, Shadia, and the Mayor of Scarborough, Sebastian. We were also joined by the Regional Chair, Tanya. Welcome, everyone. So the first question is for all four mayors. Were you happy with the decision to de-amalgamate?
Yeah, so I love it. It's a return to pre-Bill 103 and the amalgamation in 98. A lot of folks were unhappy with the decision to amalgamate, and really Toronto was still catching up. Thousands of jobs were cut just in the first 3 years alone post-amalgamation, and that is the opposite effect of what it was meant to achieve, really. You know, my good friend Kathleen Wynne has said before that she's knocked on thousands of doors in the early 2000s, and she's met maybe 2 people who agreed with amalgamating. Here's the thing, a population of 2.9 million people is a large undertaking. This way, with the de-amalgamation, we've been able to better take care of our communities. We're still able to use the City of Toronto Act, and that's a huge deal, not to mention the slashing of council that happened in 2018. Toronto had up to 59 councillors at one point, and this is still being fought up at the Supreme Court level. And, for now, we've got our 25, and we'll see where we stand with that. Also, standing and special committees are still present, and we've retained our community councils to help with the low-level stuff that really doesn't concern the regional government. We don't care in Toronto Core if a tree needs to be removed in Scarborough. They're happy to deal with it themselves. This way, with de-amalgamation, we have a much smoother governance structure and more say within our boundaries.
In Etobicoke, we've always been inspired by Vancouver's system of sharing resources and administration across municipalities. My constituents love that they're now the City of Etobicoke, and we are really enjoying having autonomy for the first time in a while.
We also do believe it was a great decision. It is quite difficult to pinpoint how exactly amalgamating actually benefited our region, but North York is a distinctive community with a lot to offer, so the whole de-amalgamation process has been quite interesting.
Well, in Scarborough, the experience with de-amalgamation in 2020 has generally been positive so far. We now have the power to do things like administer local elections, have, local representation. I'm, a classic example. And we can really do local planning and decision making. So we don't have to go down to City Hall just to erect a traffic sign. That's things that we can take care of at the local level. We already had community councils, and we're sort of integrating that into our new municipal government system. And we have a lot more autonomy, a lot more power, and we're able to focus this on what our constituents, people who live in Scarborough, people who live in North York, what they actually need from their local governments. And we can be confident that other responsibilities are being taken care of at the regional level.
Regional Chair Tanya, what are you doing to keep Toronto a world-class city now that it has been broken up into parts?
Over time, I've had the opportunity to speak with the residents of all municipalities in regard to our proposal of rebuilding Toronto, and citizens have outlined that they are in favor of our de-amalgamation. Toronto was already a world-class city before it was amalgamated in 1998, back when it was 6 boroughs. Because we have structured the governing responsibilities between the regional level and between the local level, we are able to keep developing Toronto as a brand, an overall identity, and a global presence. We have the best city brands and diversity in the country, and it is one of the most livable cities. Looking back in time all the way to 1953, before the amalgamation, we can see how a two-tier system better suited Toronto and why our proposal is sufficient. Looking back before 1953, there was mass explosions in population, housing shortages, and rapid development of areas around the city. Immigration was steadily increasing, and it created a lot of challenges for the government to try and overcome. 1953, the Municipality of Metropolitan Toronto was created to administer the services for the City of Toronto and its townships of East York, Etobicoke, North York, Scarborough, and York, including 7 villages and towns. 1966, an amendment to the Municipality of Metropolitan Toronto Act amalgamated the smaller municipalities that made up the lower tier into one City of Toronto and 5 boroughs of Etobicoke, York, North York, East York, and Scarborough. Effective January 1st, 1998, the Conservative provincial government of Mike Harris abolished the metropolitan government and created a single-tiered City of Toronto.
Like New York?
Fast forward to 2020, it's still the Toronto Raptors, it's still the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nothing changes because we've de-amalgamated. The 6 is still very relevant and represents Toronto on a worldwide level. But what we can do now is plan on a local level and really develop our distinct boroughs.
What makes this new metropolitan structure a hybrid model? How is it actually different from the system that was in place pre-amalgamation?
So the 1998 amalgamation under the Harris government was actually a very positive experience for Scarborough because at the time we had really been struggling financially. So by combining us and combining the governments with the funding and the financial power of other parts of Toronto, we were really able to spread out the burden of services. So with this 2020 hybrid metropolitan model, we're still able to keep what was so valuable about the mega city of Toronto, the sharing of responsibilities. So the region, the metropolitan Toronto, will still be taking care of water, they'll still be taking care of education through the TDSB, they'll still be taking care of public transportation and regional roads, through the TTC. But we can also learn from the past. In pre-amalgamation, we had a 2-tier system, and that worked for in some ways for us very well because we were able to focus our service delivery, and it did not work in other ways, which is what led to amalgamation in the first place. And we're also able to essentially just pick and choose from other models and structures of government that we've been looking at and really decide and tailor Toronto's government structure to what works best for us. And right now, what we're finding is that it works best to allow us to have this really focused and targeted service delivery because we have these distinct boroughs, right? But also to have regional government that takes care of services that transcend municipal boundaries.
So when we compare Toronto and Montreal, there are some similarities in the de-amalgamation process. Montreal initially had 27 independent municipalities in 2001, and then upon de-amalgamation in 2006, it was reduced to 15. So here in this region, instead of dividing the 6 original boroughs, we've ensured that we can effectively and efficiently de-amalgamate into 4 cities with a regional chair. But in Montreal, its current governance structure includes a city council, 19 boroughs, each with their own council, and an agglomeration council. So yes, Toronto is structurally different in comparison to Montreal, but the process of de-amalgamation was quite similar.
To the whole group, your positions are all brand new, along with your governments. How did you get elected as mayors in your city?
Well, the first thing to remember here is that we haven't redrawn any of our boundaries. The wards and ridings are still the same as they were previously.
So we held local elections so that constituents could decide who they want to represent them at the local level as well as the regional level. The people voted in their ward councillors, and in that same election, they chose which councillors would represent them on the regional council as well.
So what that means is that all of these new municipalities, all of these new cities are conducting double direct elections.
And how does the double direct election work?
All that means is that on the ballot, when people are voting, they are putting people into two political positions at once. So I'm the mayor of Etobicoke, but I am also on the regional council automatically.
So I was voted by my constituents in Etobicoke as the ward councillor who would join the regional council. We have 12 members of council in total, and those 12 members got together and voted for who would be the regional chair of Metropolitan Toronto.
So because of this process of election, we have actively reduced the campaigning cycle. We won't be constantly running for office because by voting for us, the people have given us a mandate, the direction that we should be going in. This allows us to really focus on getting to work, which is exactly what Montreal tried to do when they de-amalgamated.
And one final question. Do you think the new system will be successful in the years to come?
Yes, absolutely. In the face of adversity, we always come out on top. Toronto is the best city, and we can adapt to any changes made. We've successfully structured the governing responsibilities between the regional level and the local level and are organized in an efficient and effective manner. We have gone through the phases of amalgamation and de-amalgamation and have adjusted well, so there's nothing we can't do.
Okay, thank you everyone. We'll be back with the agenda right after the break.